Hello everyone, welcome to Game 3 in this matchup between Paranoid and NightEnd, this time in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Paranoid spawning as the red Zerg player on the south side of the map. Meanwhile, we have NightEnd spawning on the north side of the map as the blue Protoss. So Protoss versus Zerg here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Looking forward to this matchup. This is Game 3 in this series, and I don't know if it's a best of 3, best of 5, I know it's not a best of 3, but I don't know if it's a best of 5 or best of 7, so not going to really say anything about that. I'm not quite sure what Paranoid is actually talking about here. I guess he enjoys SC1 a little bit more, perhaps for the observer settings. I thought the observer settings were pretty good in StarCraft 2. Anyway, Paranoid spawning over here on the south side of the map, NightEnd spawning on the north side of the map, placing down a pylon on the low ground. So a low ground pylon coming in from NightEnd, and now with that pylon down on that low ground, perhaps he will be able to get a forge down here. And then with one photon cannon here, it will be able to cover a little bit of a natural expansion and also make it very difficult for any units to try to walk up this ramp. We now see the probe making its way over, and will the drone is not trying to grow up to be a hatchery, just trying to do some scouting, as there is not enough minerals just quite yet to really show what Paranoid's strategy is at this stage in the game. So, and we now see, oh, this is part of the Dragon League. So down over here, the spawning pool currently being built over here. And yeah, we should be seeing an extractor coming up in just a moment as well, as that drone now makes its way out. The probe over here still wandering around. Not quite sure why there are currently two drones, as one drone is pretty much enough to stop any harassment, as Paranoid will not be able to mine out, or sorry, be able to set up a hatchery down here in any time soon. We do see that the forge is now currently being warped in as well. So a forge before a gateway most likely will have one photon cannon here, and then be able to stop any of those units from being able to head up that ramp all too easily. Back over here, the spawning pool is nearing completion, and now still no hatchery just quite yet, because there is now a pylon being placed down here by NightEnd. So it will be quite some time. We probably need to see some Zerglings come out from the hatchery in order to be able to clear out that pylon. The pylon was cancelled, so down it goes, and now the hatchery should be able to be placed down in just a moment, unless NightEnd decides to place down another hatchery. No, he should be going for a nexus of his own, and now the Protoss player is able to set up the expansion faster than the Zerg. So yeah, just a split second faster there, and now it will be quite some time before Paranoid's hatchery will become up and running. So down over here, a nice fast expansion attempt by NightEnd, especially with a very, very decent photon cannon placement as well. So that one photon cannon here will essentially protect this whole entire front door. Any units, however, Zerglings will be able to run by along this backside here, and then perhaps be able to make it up this ramp, unless a pylon is warped in right here, slowing down some of those Zerglings. Back over here, you can see the Zerglings now just trying to spread out across the map, get as much sight as possible, as we do have an extractor currently up and running for Paranoid. Same thing with NightEnd. NightEnd's extractor just came up online as well, so both sides just starting to harvest their initial gas. No metabolic boost, nothing to indicate what exactly the strategies are, as both players just trying to get a very strong economy going. The games have really been really macro-centric, meaning that a lot of units have been produced, a lot of mining, and both players, instead of trying to harass and trying to deal a large amount of damage with a small amount of units, it's really been my 3,000 mineral army versus your 3,000 mineral army, and then seeing who can win that long-term fight. While a lot of cannons now being warped in by NightEnd. So, interesting position, as we are currently going to get 3 photon cannons here. This one pylon, or these 2 pylons, are relatively exposed, as I believe Roaches right here will be able to deal damage here without getting damaged by that one photon cannon there. Probes now once again on their way out, trying to check out across the map. We do see one Zergling, and that Zergling trying to chase down that probe, and now doing a good job of chasing it. Will be able to get in one hit, I believe, every 10 game seconds. I believe that's how the math works, as that queen now getting some damage dealt, trying to move around, getting some damage, and now down it goes. So that probe unable to walk up that ramp, and did not see the Roach Warren, does not see that the hatchery is now being upgraded to tier 2. I do not see an evolution chamber though, and now we need to see even more creep tumors. It looks like Paranoid's trying to go for mass roaches, as upgrading to tier 2, only running off of 2 gas, so that will mean that he's able to get the Roach movement speed upgrade, and then in addition to that, laying down these creep tumors, those Roaches will have a movement speed close to 4, which is very, very fast, faster than a Stalker, faster or yeah, for a little bit slower than an unupgraded Zergling or an upgraded Zergling on off of creep. So the Roaches now making their way out. Those Roaches going to try to test the waters, and Roaches do deal a fair amount of damage. We should also be seeing Burrow being researched, as Paranoid would be able to get a lot of life out of his Roaches as more creep tumors now being laid down. So as Paranoid gets a creep highway set up, a lot of damage could be dealt. Those Roaches now trying to make their way over and now going to start picking apart some of those probes. No probes taken down just quite yet. Down goes one probe. Down goes no probes getting taken down just quite yet, as probes are just being transferred and pulled away. We do see some additional gateways now being warped in, as well as some sentries now taking them damage. So another probe. So very nice, using this 4 Roaches and getting a lot of damage dealt so far, trying to get more damage dealt as those stalkers now trying to come in and deal more damage. That one sentry needs to be careful, very low on hit points, as these 2 Roaches are currently worth their weight, as they've been able to stop a lot of these probes from getting any real mining done. And these Roaches also themselves had a fair amount of kills, as more Roaches should be trained up in just a moment. Movement speed upgrade now currently being researched, as we are now going into a 4 gas. So a 4 gas build now coming in, and now with 4 gases and that Spire currently being built, if Paranoid decides to try to only save up for Overlords and spend minerals on Overlord, he should be able to get about 12 Mutalisks in the air very easily. No, spoke too soon, as he's also getting some additional Roaches and 2 more Queens. So he is currently supply locked, needs to get some additional Overlords out, otherwise he won't be able to train up anything. There's one Overlord. As we are now getting another hatchery. So where is that other hatchery? So Paranoid setting up a 3rd hatchery inside his own base and deciding to, I guess, become much more of a macro style play. The Roaches now moving very quickly on and off of creep. Movement speed of 3, faster than Stalkers even off of creep now, as Zealots and Stalkers are now trying to come in. So the Stalkers, the only thing that those Stalkers have going for them will be their range of 6 compared to a range of 4. We now have 4 Stalkers now trying to test the waters. Will they be able to do anything? No, not able to get any damage dealt, as those Stalkers and sentries are in play. So with those sentries, those force field blocking, that force field blocking will come in and become very powerful. We should be seeing a fair amount of Mutalisks being trained up in just a moment. We need more Overlords, and now Paranoid sitting at 86 over 86, unable to train up any Mutalisks, as he's currently supply locked. He perhaps needs to get about 2 Overlords. Once he gets 2 Overlords, the amount of time it takes to build the Overlord should allow him to get enough minerals to train up about 7 Mutalisks. So now we see 3 Overlords currently being trained, 2 more Overlords currently being trained, as well as NightEnd currently getting some additional Stalkers. The pylon will slowly be surrounded by creep, as a Zergling now trying to run off to the north side and figure out what exactly the strategies are going to be coming in. More Stalkers now coming in army-wise. We see a very large army from Night, and not so large of an army coming in from Paranoid just quite yet, as more Roaches are now being swarmed in. Stalkers now trying to test the waters. Roaches now coming in, and now in come mass force fields, as those Roaches now trying to continue to give chase, able to pick apart some of those sentries. However, there are just simply too many Stalkers here, as those Roaches need to return. If Burrow was researched, Burrow would be absolutely critical, as I do not see that many observers in the area. We do see currently more and more Roaches trying to fight back production-wise. More Roaches currently being trained. More Roaches coming back in. Roaches do have a very fast movement speed, going after some of those Stalkers. Queen's now taking some damage as well. No transfusion coming in from that Queen, as more Queens just continue to be trained up. We do see a lot of Stalkers down over here, but 14 Roaches currently being trained, and the army-wise NightEnd just continue to just try to pour in reinforcements, and these Roaches are not being able to get enough damage dealt very easily. Roaches now continue to push in. Paranoid, however, in trouble, as that army, NightEnd sitting on almost a 3,000 mineral army, as the Roaches are coming in a single file line and quickly getting taken down very easily. Down they go, and now Paranoid says GG. So Paranoid says GG here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Stay tuned for Game 4 in this matchup. Paranoid losing a simple 4 gate after an expansion, or is this a 6 gate attempt? So 1, 2, 3, 4, no, 7 gate. So this is a 7 gate all-in push, essentially. I believe if the Roaches had Burrow and tunneling claws, that would have been much better. And he had tried to do a tech switch into Spire tech, but because and that was just a complete waste of minerals at that point. If he had gone for the Burrow and gone for tunneling claws, I believe he would have been in a much more strong position, being able to play whack-a-mole with those Roaches, pulling those very, very low hit point roaches and letting them come back to fight another day, and then simply be able to push back with a larger swarm and a larger army. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Paranoid and NightEnd here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.